So in our last episode, we talked about British India, the British East India Company. And in this episode, we're going to talk about not just one topic, but two topics. The Industrial Revolution and the Age of Imperialism. So let's get started. My name is Shen, and hope you enjoyed this video. Why don't we start by looking at the notes. Alright, now that you saw my notes, let's get started on our topics for today. Today's topic, for now, it's the Industrial Revolution. Well, thousands of years ago, during the ancient times to be exact, people were fascinated by boiled water vapor, or better known, steam. They wanted to use steam power to harness work. Some people even tried to make steam engines. The Greeks were the first one to invent the steam engine. But they forgot about it and then they just threw it away. And then later, hundreds of years later, a Scottish man, inventor, engineer, and fixer, if you're wondering where Scotland is, it's right here if you remember from our Britain episode, backer story, named James Watt, made the first successful steam engine by perfecting old design. If you're familiar with this Watt name, it's because you know the name of the electrical unit of power. Okay. And later his steam engine design will later go into other inventions, such as the steamship and the steam train. These inventions were also known as iron horses. I'm not kidding, guys. Iron horses. And with these iron horses, people could make colonial colonies in other parts of the world, not just their place in Europe. And then later, this steam engine will help start the Industrial Revolution. But let's skip the century that we're now in, the 18th century. Now let's move on to the next century, the 19th century, the 1800s. Right, that time is when the Industrial Revolution really started. During the Industrial Revolution, a lot of things happened, I have to say for myself. Steam engine was used not just in those boats and now, but factories were made and the steam was used in those factories now. People started relocating from their countryside to their cities, and who replaced these farmers? Slaves, of course. Moving on. And later these factories produced a lot of products such as machines, weapons, and even clothes. The list goes on. And then later they manufactured a lot of more products, and later this industry will get out of Britain and go into other places in Europe and even to the United States of America in North America, across the Atlantic Ocean, eh? I'm not surprised. Well, after the Industrial Revolution, and the evolution of industry still happened, and then they made new things, and as they made more vehicles that can move goods and passengers to other places, and later the evolution of industry also made a lot of goods, more than they needed. However, there was an overload. They needed to trade these products with other people. So they went out and searched to find trade partners. However, they found Africa instead of other places. Well, instead of making trade partners with them, they made colonies in them instead. Because they found out that Africa was weak and that they didn't have almost 0% machinery. So they just decided to conquer them. I'm not surprised by that, though. Later, this map shows the colonies that happened, and by 1884, almost all of Africa, except this country and this one, got conquered by the Europeans. And the list goes for countries as Belgium, France, Germany, Great Britain, Italy, Portugal, and Spain. I was surprised when I learned Spain was in the list. Alright. One of the colonies, the Congo Free State, was done by Belgium. And well, let me order you from the most colonies to the least colonies. They are Great Britain, France, Germany, Belgium, Italy, Portugal, and then Spain. Yes, this is it. Well, let's go into the Belgium's African colony, right here, the Congo Free State, also known as Darkest Africa. All right. The Congo Free State, as I mentioned earlier, was conquered by the Belgians, and all of the countries brutally treated their colonies brutally. But I have to say, Belgium was the brutalist. Why I am saying that is that they made the population of the Congo Free State into slaves, and they put chains on their necks. I only thought that those happened in the movies or just TV, but they did that. Really. And then later, these Congo Free States had nothing to do, and just 30 years after first slave, half of the population died. Right here. And now later, while that was happening, in South Africa, right here, there was a nation called the Zulu nation who were fierce warriors. Who were these Zulu people? Zulu nation. Alright, this Zulu nation were a tribe of Africans, and they were very fierce warriors. However, their simple spears were no match to the Great the British machine guns. So they lost their battle. And then Britain later colonized South Africa and the Zulu nation. So the Zulu nation went bye-bye. Well, and then later, while that was happening, Ethiopia defended its independence from Italy. Italy tried to conquer the Ethiopians, but surprisingly, the Ethiopians won their independence against the Italians at a place called Adowa. Adowa. Put this in black this time. Adowa. Alright, this is Adowa. Alright. Adowa was the place where the Ethiopians won their independence, and then later they were the only country to be independent. Well, later after that, there were a lot of these colonies, and the Europeans didn't just colonize these colonies just for their natural resources. Well, they colonized these colonies for their military power too. They wanted to be more military, and they wanted their more military strength. Oh, that takes a lot of energy. Steam engine. Well, moving on. And later, some of the colonies almost went to war. They avoided war because if you remember from our Napoleonic Wars episode, you might know that Napoleonic Wars was destructive. The Europeans didn't want that kind of war. England and Germany competed into each other by building battleships. They almost went into war, but they didn't. Later, Britain, the English and the French later became allies, just in case if war just began. Well, later, after the African colonies were made, the Europeans started searching for more trading partners. These weren't trading partners, though. And then later, they found themselves in Asia. They found countries such as China and Japan. Japanese reopened. If you remember from our Japanese episode after Lee Sun-shin's death, there was the Edo period. And the Edo period closed, isolated Japan from the world. Well, now, as the Europeans came into Japan, they reopened. The Japanese reopened, and then later Japan will become industrial and more modernized, which we're gonna talk about in our next unit. Well, I hope you enjoyed this part of this video, and I'll see you in my writing. Shenhan is in writing. Oof. Alright, let's get started on our writing. Oh, I'm right here. Right. Today's writing questions are: what did you learn about the age of imperialism? And is it good for strong countries to colonize weaker countries? Put your answers in the comments below, or just email me at my email. I'll put the link right here. Right. Alright, what did you learn about the age of imperialism? Well, I learned that the age of imperialism is the time when Africa was colonized by the European. Well, why did they colonize Africa? Well, they wanted its natural resources. They wanted more military power. Well, not like that military power, though. And well, as they got more military power and more colonies, they got more land and they got more power. And one of the colonies, Congo Free State, colonized by Belgium, that's the only African Belgian colony, that is also called the darkest Africa because the prisoners there and slaves there, the population were putting chains on their necks. I got surprised by that, so. Yeah, and well, the Zulu nation in South Africa was conquered by the Great Britain. Well, look, simple spears versus machine guns. The machine guns will win, of course, and then Great Britain colonized South Africa. However, the only country to not be colonized by the Europeans is Ethiopia. It's my favorite country so far. Well, Ethiopia won its independence against the Italians who tried to conquer it, and they got its independence. They defended it. And the age of imperialism, I also learned, is that it has lasted from 1880 to 1914. That's 34 years. 34 years. My country got colonized for 35 years. Well, doesn't mean that history it could not change. Yeah, and also this was kind of a sad moment in time, and the Europeans didn't realize that it was hard for the Africans mostly. And they just thought that they were going to civilize these colonies. What the heck? That's a bit rude. And I don't think that's allowed anymore. Alright, moving on to the next question. Is it good for strong colonies to colonize weaker countries? Well, I have different opinions, but I think it's no. Because even though weaker countries might be weaker than stronger countries, they shouldn't colonize them. They should, well, I have to say care for them, like little brother and the big brother. Alright. This was still a major conflict, and I still think that big and stronger countries shouldn't colonize weaker countries. Weak countries, though. Well, here's the main reason. Even though weaker countries are weaker than stronger countries, the stronger countries shouldn't colonize the weaker countries because, well, they're weak. They need help. They should try to align with them instead of just colonizing them or just try to trade with them. Well, those are my answers for this writing. And if you have other answers, please put them in the comments below. Or just email me at my email. Please put the email address right here. Thank you. Alright, now we can move on to our next part. Extra history! See you then. What's up? Alright, today we're going to talk about the hero of the Industrial Revolution. And that guy is, wait for it, who is it? James Watt. Alright. Let's get started. Alright. So James Watt was a guy who was born in Scotland, and he later had his mother and his father sending him to his grandparents' house. And later there, he got his first exploration and his first taste of the power of steam. And it went like this. So he was playing in his grandmother's kitchen. Come down here, please. Come down. All right. And he saw a kettle boil. A kettle boil steam, and then there's a steam, lifted the kettle lid. And then later, when he closed the kettle, steam came out of this teapot. Then later, he put a spoon over the steam, and it vibrated. And this was the first taste of steam power. Later, when he was older, his mother died suddenly, and his father quickly took his place in the mother's zone. Later, his father gave little James teenage James his own set of tools, and he gave James his own workshop. Later, James Watt studied at Cambridge University. I have to say for myself, a lot of previous scientists and 2 centuries ago, or maybe 3 and other centuries ago, studied in Cambridge University. Whoa. Oh, I'm surprised. Well, James Watt later also worked for the Cambridge University too. And later, he had a colleague who asked him to repair an engine. And while James Watt tried to repair the engine, he suddenly remembered his steam experience. Come back down. And then he shouted Eureka, and the help of his friends, he made a steam engine. He died a few years later, and to honor him, his name Watt was given to an electrical power unit. Watt. No, not Watt, not Watt, W-H-A-T. It's Watt, W-A-T-T. People get confused. Well, I'll see you next time. And if you want to enjoy my videos, check out the end of this video. And so I have a special announcement. I'll see you then. Shinhan out. Fling! Hiya! This video was made by me. It's sponsored by me. The talking and your host was me. Hanjin. The script was written by me, and with a bit of help with my editor. And my editor is Anna Han, if you're from America. And with the help of my channel, Hanjin, I can make videos whenever I want. And this special announcement is that I'm trying to make a Patreon page. So if I don't make one, please go into it, and I'll put the link in the description below in the nearest video. Well, I'll see you in my next video. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Hit the like button so you would like this video, and also don't forget to hit the bell button to all or notification so you don't miss any of my videos. And if I do ask a question, please put your answers in the comments below, or just email me at my email. And my email is 20jur@naver.com. And speaking of questions, today's question is, what did James Watt make with his steam power? Is it A, a steam engine, B, steamboat, or C, a steam time machine? I'll see you next time. Shanhan out. Alright, do the movie.